Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa, and today is the glorious day that Doomfist graces us with his presence on the live servers. But I don't think he's going to be available in competitive if the other hero launches are anything to go by. But you will be able to play him in quick play and get used to Doomfist. It's going to be beautiful. However, this is also an absolutely massive day for Overwatch. There are loads of updates coming in. So what I'm going to do in this video is just go over everything that we've got that's going to hit in this update. Because like I said, guys, this is a huge update. All right, let's get stuck into this. So obviously the first thing we've got is Doomfist, right? Doomfist is going to shake up the game in, I think, a lot of ways. He is a very powerful hero. I think I've been on record saying I think he's OP, so I guess I should probably say that again. I think he is OP, but what we need to do is watch him get played to see how he fits into the game, because he does have some pretty strong counters. Now, the reason why I think Doomfist is kind of OP is because he's got high mobility, he actually has really good survivability, and he has massive burst damage, which is, well, the very interesting thing with Doomfist, because when you look at dive comp, and everyone goes on about dive comp and all of that, I thought my door was being open, and something... Is it being opened? No. That'd be weird. Anyway, the thing with dive comp is it's like you all dive onto one target, right? Or if you're playing defensive dive comp, you wait for them to dive, then you counter dive them. Who is doing the diving? It's Winston who does the diving. Who absolutely annihilates Winston? Well, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Doomfist wrecks him. And the reason why is because when Winston jumps in, Doomfist, if he's a clever player, can be like, oh, there's Winston. And when he lands, Doomfist gets his fist like this, and he's like, boom, and he goes straight in. And it's, well... It's good night Vienna, as they would say, ladies and gentlemen. For Winston, he will be wrecked by Doomfist. So don't believe what you've seen in the highlight trailer or whatever it was for Doomfist or the lore. Winston will never beat Doomfist in a 1v1, like absolutely never. However, he's got some pretty strong counters. People like Tracer, again, don't believe the cinematic short thingy-majig, because Tracer appeared to be doing quite a bit of work to him, and Genji, and then he just destroys them. They are actually pretty good against Doomfist because they can keep range and keep, you know, away from him. If Doomfist doesn't get you with his fist, then you can probably kill him. I think, though, in terms of major counters for Doomfist, Roadhog is a really good counter. And we know Roadhog has got buffs that are about to hit the PTR, which hopefully should happen anytime soon, and they are going to actually increase his defensive capability. But still, landing a hook on a Doomfist probably will spell the end for the Doomfist, unless he's got all of his cooldowns available. If he doesn't, then he's just going to be standing there and getting killed. If he does, then he might have a chance of escaping, because he can obviously uppercut into the air, you know, seismic slam away, or do any kind of fancy stuff like that. So I think it's going to be very interesting watching this all develop with Doomfist. I don't want to say I'm going to main Doomfist, but I really like Doomfist, and I think a lot of people out there do. My Steakbake account hasn't actually played competitive this season. I am very tempted to sort of put a focus on Doomfist and even run a series. So let me know what you think about that, guys, in the comments below. Maybe with the webcam, kind of what I did for the PUBG video, if any of you guys did that, seen that. Do the same sort of thing for like a Doomfist sort of focused competitive thing, just to see if we can work out together what he's like in competitive. But yeah, I think he's going to be pretty strong. Obviously, because people won't know how to play against him straight away, I think just picking Soldier 76 and drilling Doomfist is a great idea, because 76 really has a good time against Doomfist, unless Doomfist dives on top of him, which, you know, nobody really wants Doomfist diving on top of you. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting, guys. All of it's speculation at the moment, because, of course, you can't really test any of this on the PTR. I did have the privilege, and I did put a video on the channel a couple of weeks ago showing the pros playing Doomfist, and you could see he was quite powerful then, but he's since been nerfed on the PTR, so it's going to be super interesting to see where all of that goes. So obviously, yeah, Doomfist is the major thing which is going to hit with today's patch. However, there are loads of other things, so let's go over them. Custom games, ladies and gentlemen, they are going to be front and center now when you click the play button. So currently on live, when you click the play button, it comes up with like everything apart from custom games, right? It comes up with like arcade, versus AI, my memory is terrible, competitive, quick play, yeah? But now it will actually have custom games on there as well, so you can click that and go straight through into the custom game browser. Now, why is this a good thing? Well, if we remember when the custom game system came out, it was, I hailed it as an awesome thing, like, wow, this is going to be so great. We're going to see like loads of modded games and all of this stuff, but actually we don't. which is very weird considering the population size of Overwatch. You'd expect there to be literally thousands of like custom games going all the time, but there's not. Now, maybe it's just a discoverability thing, and maybe by putting the custom games button directly on the play menu, that's going to make a huge difference and will probably mean more people will play. I hope that's the case, because if you guys remember, I actually started a series called the Overwatch Arcade, and I showed the Widowmaker headshot only kind of training mode, which I think is really cool, with where you put the grappling hook on a low cooldown and you can sort of grapple everywhere and practice getting the headshots. It's absolutely awesome for aim training, much better than like Nanobots or anything like that if you want to get into Widowmaker, and who doesn't, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, this could be huge. Like, we get more custom games, it means that I could do my series again if we get, you know, fancy sort of rule sets popping up, but just getting more people into that, because it's such an interesting like aspect to Overwatch. It is basically mod tools built into the game. You can build your own game modes, you can do loads of stuff with it as well, like you can change the way ability cooldowns work and all kinds of stuff. It is an awesome system, and yeah, if more people get into it, that's good. So that's another change. So obviously we've got Doomfist, we've got the custom games being updated, but as I headbutt the microphone, we've actually got other stuff as well. So the crosshairs are being updated. Now, I showed this in a video, and obviously I'm probably playing footage of that in the background now, but this is big because the current crosshairs in Overwatch are fine, and I generally use the short sort of crosshair. You guys can see it on my gameplay footage. It's like the short one with like the, I use the lime green color because I can see that kind of easier. That's fine, but really I'd like it to have a little bit more of a gap in the middle, right? And in the past you couldn't do that, but you can do that now with the crosshair system, because you can fine tune it. You can change all of the colors, you can change all of the shapes, you can change the width of the shapes, the size of the shapes. It's great. Like, it means you can make some really interesting crosshairs. Now obviously most people are going to probably stay with basic crosshairs. It's not something you have to change to make you better at the game, but it's like a quality of life change, and it's cool that they've added this in, because, you know, if you maybe don't like the lime green color, well, you can just change it to whatever color you like. If maybe you don't like the width of the circle crosshair, you can sort of, I don't know, change it to whatever width you like. So it's very interesting, and it's an awesome little system. The next thing we've got, and this is a huge thing, is the highlights system. Now, this is very interesting because what it allows you to do is capture highlights as you're playing the game. Now, I made a video on this where I went into detail on how this system works, so go and check that out. You can see it playing in the background. It is... yeah, it's such an awesome system, because what this will do is it will save replays on Blizzard servers, right? And then if you want to turn that into a video, you can, and your computer will render the video out of your highlight play and save it on your computer, and you can do this in any quality. So even if you're playing the game on low at like 800 by 600 resolution, which would be probably nobody plays the game that, but if you was, what you can do with the highlight system is tell it to render at ultra 4K. My computer can't play Overwatch at ultra 4K, so I mean, being able to render out a video that looks ultra in 4K is absolutely crazy. That is like awesome. And you guys know me, like I'm on record saying that this system is probably the groundwork for what will eventually be a full-on replay system for the game, and we totally need that. Like, things, even when you look at the game from like an esports level, when the game's being played and they pause the game, it should be able to be resumed from a replay. So if players crash out, you should be able to load back in at the same point and then resume. That would be awesome. You should be able to jump back into a game as well when it's, well, obviously that would still be resuming from replay, but jump back into a game when it's kind of in play. Like, imagine being able to replay back your old games that you've played in, right? Because if the game tracks everybody's movement, let's say you want to see, I don't know, what Genji was doing, right? So you take control of an enemy, like an enemy player, maybe, to follow Genji around. So that's a poor example, really. That's a crap example. But what I'm trying to say is it'd be very interesting to take over different roles and play through a game and see what would happen. I think that would be awesome, and hopefully that's coming down the line. But I'd still like to see a very basic sort of replay file saved after every game that you could share with your friends and say, hey, check this game out, and send like a really small file, much like StarCraft 2 does, and then that rebuilds the game actually in your client. So you're not sending massive files around, which would be awesome for things like Overanalyzed as well. Let me just take a drink. I'm dying. What the hell? I'm dying. Yeah, which would be awesome for Overanalyzed, because with Overanalyzed, you have to upload your videos to YouTube, and then I basically watch them back off YouTube and do my thing with them. But if you could just send me a file, that would be absolutely awesome. Anyway, there's more, right, ladies and gentlemen, and this is probably the last biggest thing we're going to touch on, and this is the loot box change. Now, Everybody complains about duplicate items in the loot boxes, and that's fair, right? Because it is terrible. When you get dupes in loot boxes, it feels terrible, especially when it's a legendary item, and especially with all the stuff we had with the Overwatch anniversary event, where the loot box, the skins were all legendary skins, which is 3,000 credits, which is totally crazy, and there was loads of them, right? So if you wanted to get them all, you'd have to spend a load of money on loot boxes, and of course, loot boxes still using the old duplicate system, so there was a high chance of getting a duplicate to begin with, and then you only got refunded a small amount of credits, so it wasn't really worth it. What will happen now is you will very rarely get duplicates. That is absolutely awesome. So hopefully the days will be gone of when you're like, it happened to me with the Uprising event where I was opening boxes because I was doing like an unboxing video, and I think I got the Torbjorn skin twice or 3 times or something like that, and I'm like, oh no, it was like the worst thing ever. I don't play Torbjorn, I don't want his skin. What I would like would be like 1,000 credits back or something, so I could go and buy another skin with those 3 dupe skins I've got. Anyway, this system that they've got now arguably is a better system, because what it will do is, well, not give you a duplicate, which is ideal. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, that is everything that should be included in this patch, everything major anyway. There will be a lot of minor stuff and all that kind of stuff coming out, but it's going to be very interesting to see the way the game goes, because it has been stale, and I don't think nobody would disagree with me, to be honest. It's been stale for a while, and maybe Doomfist is what we need to change it up. But try and look beyond Doomfist. Don't just think, oh, it's another offensive hero. I don't play offensive heroes, I play supports. Think about how Doomfist can change what heroes are being picked, which might make other heroes come back. I honestly think we might be seeing more of a kind of like a tanky meta might start developing, which means heroes like Anna will come back into the game more. Heroes like Roadhog, potentially after he gets buffed, will come back into the game more. Zarya will come back into the game, at least I hope. Alright guys, I've been Stylosa, this is Unit Lost. If you enjoyed the video, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, you can follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming, and I will catch you on the next one guys. Toodaloo.